Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so
Yeah.
good morning everyone and welcome to the new session of Sitecore User Group and Jaipur. And in today's event, we have back-to-back session of some Sitecore topics. We brought some good topics for you. So let me introduce to our first presenter, that is Mahendra Shekhawat. And Mahendra is a Sitecore MVP and having great experience in Sitecore. And today he is presenting on Sitecore CDP and personalization topic. So I'm going to hand over this session to Mahendra, and Mahendra, I think you can share your screen and start the session. Mahendra, you're on mute.
All right. Sorry. So I'm sharing my screen. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes,
Is
we
it
can.
visible? All right. So good morning and welcome to the Sitecore User Group December event. Today I'm going to present on Sitecore CDP and personalization. We'll talk about the overview of Sitecore CDP and personalization. And the key line for Sitecore CDP is bring together real-time behavior insight and all your customer data. So let me introduce myself. My name is Mahendra Shekhawat. I'm solution architect at RightPoint. Uh, I'm two-time Sitecore MVP in 2020 and 2021, having 9.4, 9.5 plus year of Sitecore experience, going to complete 10 year of Sitecore experience soon. I'm an active Sitecore Stack Exchange contributor, co-founder and one of the organizer of Sitecore User Group Jaipur. Not for this year. This were basically being organized by all these three peoples. They are doing tremendously well work in Sitecore User Group Jaipur. Uh, I live in Jaipur, India. That's all about myself. You can reach out me on my Twitter. It's basically at the rate MHARSOLI. Uh, let's talk about the agenda of today's presentation. We'll talk about the Sitecore CDP and personalized. Then we'll understand architecture of Sitecore CDP and personalized. Then we'll discuss about the CDP process, then discuss about the personalization process. And then we'll talk about that how both work together. And then we'll take a tour of Sitecore CDP and personalized UI user interface. So let's start with the Sitecore CDP and Personalize. So Sitecore CDP and Personalize are two independent products. They can work together to create a rich customer experience. So first of all, we'll need to understand that Sitecore CDP is a different product. Sitecore Personalize is a different product. When you'll go to purchase from the Sitecore about the product, they will ask if you need a personalize or not with the CDP. So CDP is a different product, Personalize is a different product, but both can work together and they can create a rich customer experience. The second important thing we need to understand that Sitecore CDP, uh, we should not interact it. We should not basically have a background about the Sitecore platform. It's not dependent on Sitecore platform. You can use Sitecore CDP and personalize on any of the platform. It could be a Sitecore platform and a outside of the Sitecore platform, no matter. Uh, Companies need customer data platform, the CDP, to focus on the customer and put them first. That's basically a main requirement from the different companies that they want to focus on their customer only. Sitecore CDP caters to that need by building a customer profile and led to engage and enrich web experience. It transforms marketing efforts into smart experience that obtain, provide, and maintain customer. Basically, overall idea of creating the CDP is just to enrich web experience by creating customer profiles. Now come to the personalize. Personalize then further allow companies to capture, merge, and trigger omni-channel customer data. We'll talk about the omni-channel in upcoming slide, what it is. But the personalize basically allow uh, you know, to capture and merge and trigger some customer data based on the decisions and experiment we are doing on the CDP data. You can basically understand that what's personalization is with this picture. Here you can say that it's basically a next generation decision model where you can use some kind of canvas, visual canvas, where you can drag and drop things and create a model and map by adding different uh, rules and different conditions. Then it's basically use effortless AI, use machine learning and other things uh, to optimize the next best action for your customer. It's also operational context, which means that it can look into the external system to access your inventory, your pricing, and your any risk in that. And then it basically precise the targets, and then effortless A/B testing, user experience, basically easily managed by the A/B testing. You can perform the A/B testing, uh, can have multiple output for a single channel, and what customer likes, you can finalize that. Also, it basically track all the KPI. You can measure your success uh, with the metrics that matters to the companies. We'll come to the Sitecore CDP and personalized architecture now. This is basically an overall architecture which is not visible for uh, most of the slide or most of the blocks, but we can first understand this concept and then we'll go to that second architecture diagram. You can see it required a data source. Data source can be a digital behavior, customer data. It could be a third-party system or transaction data, and that goes into two types of data. It could be a real-time data, or it could be a batch data. Real-time data basically goes to the real-time CDP engine, which basically use that real-time data to unify profile, uh, um, and then it's basically process it with the CDP itself. Batch segment is kind of a data which basically comes from the historical information or your old data that you want to push into the CDP. Then CDP basically transfer that data to your paid channels, your own channel, or any earned data channels where you want to process. It also send that data to your decision model where you can perform different kind of experiments. You can personalize and engage that things using some kind of real time AI models or operational system, and then you basically do some kind of trigger and interaction with your different channels. It could be a paid channel, your website, your mobile app, your earned channel, YouTube, or all other things. Not YouTube. Pardon. All right. Now this is a familiar architecture diagram you can see in current era of Sitecore and composable DXP, where you can see this kind of architecture diagram many locations. So you can see that in the left hand side here, it's all our data which basically process or share data to CDP. There can be three type of data we can pass. It could be stream data, it could be interactive data, or it could be a base data. Stream data is basically a data where you can interact with your website or app. Interactive data is kind of data where you can do some kind of CRUD operation. Uh, it could be a in data or out data both. So for example, your operational system, it could be your inventory or anything that can have an interactive information where you can update something there and you can grab something from that particular operational system. Then batch data is kind of your customer data, which leads into any warehouse, any database where which you want to push into the CDP. Then CDP basically interact with personalization, where experiment, experience, and decisioning things comes. And then based on that, all these things, you can basically trigger as 101 message. You can push some kind of information to your website based on the personalization, and you can have some kind of interactive information. For example, A/B testing on personalization uh, for your mobile app, for your website, or any kind of inbound data platform. Uh, Now, next thing is Sitecore CDP and process. CDP process. So Sitecore CDP process in 4 steps. First step is data collection. Then second step is profile unification. Third step is segmentation, and fourth step is activation. We'll start with data collection. So data collection is basically collecting data to create a customer profile. There could be multiple type of data that Sitecore CDP collects. It could be a preferred channel data. What is the preferred channel of your customer? It could be a website, it could be a mobile app. Then it basically can collect data based on the real-time information. For example, most active day, some kind of personal information that can be collected. Then it can connect all the session type of data, loyalty data, or service type of service history of your customer. That kind of data you can collect in your CDP platform. Once that data will be collected, it goes to the second step of your CDP process, which is basically profile unification. It's the most important function of CDP, where all the collective data is processed, and then basically it identify individual. It's basically clean all the data, and basically link multiple device data into a single individual. For example, if your customer is logging from a website, it's logging from a mobile app, or some other medium of interaction. It could be a kiosk information or offline visit of your store. And then collectively, it's basically collect all those data and create a single profile for your customer, whether it's basically interactive from your mobile app, from your data, from your website, or from your offline store. The data can be, the profile can be a non-profile or an unknown profile. Unknown profile is basically profile where we are not sure who is our customer, but we can get the device information about the profile. We can get the browser information of the profile, what he browsed, date and time, locations, search mode. All these can product added to the code. All these kind of information we can get for a known profile. Now, what is the non-profile? Non-profile is basically a information that is basically a non-profile plus the non-attribute. So a non-profile, we already know that it's basically can collect all those device information, browser information, a browser history type of things, that what are the pages he browse, what product it add to the cart, those kind of information, plus the non-attribute. It could be non-attribute could be name, email, uh, the customer is a male or female, its profile values, what links it, what brand it likes. Those kind of information we can get in the non-profile. Third step for the CDP is segmentation. So segmentation is basically a process where once the data is collected, it assigned to a segment within the CDP, where each segment contains a subset of user that share common attribute, behavior on transaction. And the marketer basically use this segment to personalize and experience. It filter the audience and promote new product. Um, It's basically a process where we can define what is our target audience for particular new product. For example, if your company is launching a new product, let me take an example of lipstick. Uh, there is no possibility that or less possibility to promote them for a male user. If they are promoting a new lipstick, they will target all the female audience for the lipstick. Uh, so they will basically going to create a segment where they will collect uh, the data for their female audience, especially for some age group. and then basically trigger their new product or promote their new product to their those particular audience. A last step is basically activation. Once we'll interact, or we basically collect all the data, create segment, and after that, that segment is should be available for engaging customer. Could be available for engagement tools to trigger email campaigns, mobile messaging, and social media campaigns. So that activation process is basically kind of information should be available for the end user. Now we'll come to the personalized process. Now, personalized process, you can see in this picture, the blue section is CDP. So you'll see CDP is basically a step which basically provides the data, and the personalized is basically testing, personalization, and decision things in your personalized model. It could be testing, could be A and B testing, where you can perform some alpha and beta variant of your content or your products, and that alpha and beta can lead to a final result, which basically liked by the targeted audience. Then you can perform some personalization based on your a different rule. You can provide the personalized data to your target audience, and decisioning is basically kind of next best action for your customer. We'll talk about the personalization process here. So it basically follow a process of experimentation and decisioning to deliver a rich omnichannel customer experience. So experimentation is basically Sitecore personalized enable you to create both control and random experiment to improve the outcome of your business goals, such as clicks, purchase, and web metrics and more. So based on your clicks and based on your purchase, you can basically create and engage your target audience. It could be a control manner or and a random experiment to improve your outcome. Control manner, you can have a control that what you want to target, and experiment manner is basically kind of things that where you can perform some kind of experiment. Second thing is decisioning. Decisioning is a function which personalized users rules and predict analytics to smart decision about the best things. For example, best customer to talk. It could be a best things to talk about the customer, best channel where we want to talk to customer, and time to talk to the customer. For example, best customer is basically things where you want to target for a particular customer. Best thing is basically your product which you want to share with the customer. Best channel could be your channel where you want to target for your customer. It could be an email channel, it could be your website or mobile app. And best time to talk to our customer. For example, you want to talk about that particular customer during Black Friday or during Christmas or New Year time, where you want to target that particular audience. That can be led to the decisioning. We'll talk about the personalized and omni-channel experience. So, uh, omni-channel experience can be defined. It's a seamless and effortless, high-quality customer experience that led between different contact channel. This contact channel could be a mobile channel or web channel. It could be a chat bot. It could be a virtual reality or any social media platform. The full execution of personalized include the delivery of relevant, engaging, and profitable experience. So it basically target based on the profitable experience for the customer as well as your company. This is where the target, where the uh, gather data is act on by adding enhancements such as overlay, pop-up, or any other beneficial HTML based treatment. For example, if you want to pop up some information on your website, you can do that. If you want to do some kind of email campaigning, you can perform that from the omnichannel experience. Now we'll talk about the value for the marketer. It's not actually part of any personalization process, but I just covered this slide here just to give brief idea about the CDP and personalization value for a marketer. So marketer can perform multiple operations. It allow for the customer data aggregation and various source from the various sources. So it basically you can collect the data from the various sources and then it basically aggregate that complete customer data. It allow you to batch upload profile data where appropriate. From your historical information, from your historical data, you can batch upload that profile into the CDP. It activate historic and live customer data in real time. So if you have some kind of historical data about your customer and there is some live data about you that for your customer, uh, it can be used for the real time for that customer data. It collect and connect the unified customer data from different channel. It segment data based on user that share common attribute behavior or transaction. So basically it could be a common attribute between different user. For example, if you are likely brand of Nike, you can have a segment where you can create all the customer who are basically like the Nike brand or Puma brand. Then it share the activate learning from real-time audience insight across your organization. Allow marketer to manage their day-to-day CDP maintenance that little support from the IT department or tech team. Then personalize basically support experiment that optimize the experience in any digital product. It could be an app or any other channel. It's apply AI driven digital decision capability to connect operational data. It could be used in using machine learning or any artificial intelligence driven decision capability. You can create your own AI driven decision capability. You can use any other available third party media. For example, if you want to use some kind of AI information from Microsoft, you can do that as well. It's provide client side personalization as well. For example, if you are browsing a website uh, based on your personalization model or rules, you can define or you can show data to your end user on client side. It reinforces decisioning next best action and offers based on your personalization models. It's provide inbound and outbound personalization. It could be perform the personalization on your website, which is basically inbound, and outbound it could be a email trigger, push notification. It could be your SMS or MMS. Those kind of information you can do with personalized. Now we'll talk about how both works together. So Sitecore CDP capture data using API and audience sync for basic integration, while personalized use this model to trigger customer focus experience. So CDP basically capture data, then it basically process that data, create segment, sync audience, and then basically process the data to the personalize. And then personalize use that data. And based on that data, it's basically create a different model. And based on that model, basically target different customer. Those are focused for your experience. First of all, we'll talk about ingest data. So Sitecore CDP use three method of ingesting data. Here you can see stream, interactive, and batch. These are three things. Stream is basically search page, product view. It could be a click event, any type of information on your website or app that leads to have some kind of interaction data comes into the stream things. Uh, Mostly on your app or website things. Interactive data is basically data where you can perform some kind of CRUD operations. You can have some kind of get and post APIs that you can have on your different operational systems. And then base segment is basically a segment where you can have uh, your customer data stores on somewhere in a warehouse or some old database or some kind of third-party system that you want to push into the CDP. These are three API that you can use for performing the stream API, interactive API, and batch API. Sitecore basically, Sitecore CDP can get all those data from the different source and then process that data. Let's talk about the API type and their definition. So Stream API I already mentioned that it's used to capture the real-time high velocity and high volume behavioral data. It typically deploy by Sitecore lightweighted JavaScript library for your web or mobile application. So, and it basically you include two type of API. It could be a event API or browser API. So we'll talk about the basic implementation about the Stream API, but the Stream API is nothing. It's just a lightweighted JavaScript library which you can put it on your website. There could be some API call into your JavaScript, and then that JavaScript basically can use an event API and the browser API to get the data. Event API is kind of event that you process for your website or mobile. It could be a click event, it could be a visit event, and browser API is kind of information that you store somewhere into your copy to identify your guest for further uh, facility into the personalization section. Those kind of information that you are basically storing in somewhere in cookie, uh, collect using the browser API. Second API is the interactive API. Interactive API is a suite of REST APIs. It basically uh, available API information for your REST things, and that basically can additionally perform some CRUD operation. It could be create, delete, and update data. During our API, we're going to use one of the interactive API to create a guest or customer in our CDP platform in upcoming slide. Batch API include, API to uh, large volume of guest and order data. For example, if you are having a lot of historical data information from your third party system, there are lots of information available on your offline store related data that you can push into your Sitecore CDP platform. It could be perform in different batch. You can schedule it on different time period. Those API basically uh, get the data on a standard JSON schema and push it into the Sitecore CDP. Once the CDP has acquired the customer data, it times to use that data to target specific guests for paid media and email campaign, eliminating the need of manually creating, uploading, and updating segment from various sources. So you can perform segmentation manually, but that can be also perform, some kind of mm, artificial intelligence things. This is called an audience sync, where you can just perform some kind of rules, and it basically create that kind of segment for you. Sidecore batch segment enable you to see the volatile and variability of segment to ensure you capture the right people and response to change in the market. We'll talk about this batch segment in UA in a demo of our Sitecore CDP. Basic integration. So it's basically nothing. It's you can use some kind of JavaScript library on your website. That JavaScript can capture all your API driven things. It could be a browser API or event API things, and send that behavioral or interactive data to your CDP. Personalization occurs across channels, website, mobile, email, contact center, covering both inbound and outbound interaction. Personalization is underpinned by the Sitecore CDP dataset and leverage the CDP data to analyze the insights. So we already talk about the personalization. It's basically covering all those things again here in this slide. And then decisioning is basically capability allowed to perform the operation to recommend next best action for your customer data on their individual needs and business priority. So based on your business priority and individual need, you can create some kind of uh, uh, action for your data. So decisioning basically uh, give you the capability to perform that kind of best next action for your data. Once that decisioning module is created, it can be used across multiple channel and multiple experience. Now it's time to take a tour of Sitecore CDP and Personalize. I already have login into the Sitecore CDP Personalize, but let me start with the CDP Personalize. So there are multiple URL available for CDP box saver box. It's basically depend where your box is being created. It could be in Europe region, it could be in Asia Pacific region, or it could be in US region. Uh, Based on available region, you will get a path. You can just do a login on that path. Just need to log in. Once you will be login, you will able to see uh, organization for your CDP and personalized platform. Currently, I'm only having one organization, which is basically a sandbox of my organization right point. Uh, from the below section, you can see some of the available information here. You can see your username. You can see your profile from this section. It's basically so that what profile you are using, what is your SSH username here. Then the system information is basically your company information. You can manage your user. You can manage your guest. If there'll be any API access, you can use that API access. Once you will click on this API access, you will able to see the token and API for your API. From the manage user, you can basically invite and manage your user based on your roles. For example, if you are enterprise admin, you can invite somebody else. Uh, and then based on based on the email, you can provide the roles to the particular user. Now coming back to the customer data section here. So customer data section is basically data that is collected by the CDP. So for example, here on the guest section, I can see there are 16 guests are available. You can filter it by the customer and visitor, or you can click all. So in visitor section, you'll see all the visitors are here. In the customer section, you can see that there is only one customer here. Basically, it's guest type. If I click on this customer, you can see that active channel currently this is being created by interactive API. So you'll not able to see any information on channel activity, but you can see if customer is more active on mobile website or mobile app, or it more active on email channel. That information can be available here. You can define the preferred channel for the customer. Uh, you can see some kind of activity heat map for the customer, where it active most. For example, it active on morning time or evening time or night time. That kind of information you can see here. And there are other daily uses activity and other segmentation you can manage for that particular customer. That information can be found here. You can see one of the visitor is here. It's basically saying that it's the 100% of desktop device. Batch segment is basically a segment that you can create for creating batch. For example, here test one, I have created this, and it's basically saying that if gender information is not available, create some kind of schedule information for your customer. You can create your own segment based on your rule. For example, if I'm creating uh, female customer, click on the create. Now I'm basically targeting the guest, which is not a visitor. It should be a customer. I can click on this customer and can define that it should be gender equals to the female. Currently, I don't have any female audience available. It's not allowing that. You can see that it's not able to see here. You can see it's only having male value available 100%. So if I'll click on this male, I can see I can change is not equals to male and can create my segment. If customer is not equals to male, then it's basically goes to the female customer segment. And then I can basically start this segment to engage my customer. Those are females. Audience sync is basically a section where you can basically based on segment, you can sync all your audience. Those are basically targeted. For example, if I create a segment female, I'm not able to see any template available here, but yeah, it's basically send a segment to external destination with audience syncs. So if there is any external destination based on our segment, it basically send the customer data or audience data. Now coming back to the experience, there could be a web experience or full stack experience. You can create those experience here in this section, and it leads to the overall result that what you want to do. Experiment is basically a section where you can define your A and B testing. You can create some experiment here that leads to the end user with final result. For example, you create two variant of your particular product. You want to show your end user, then it basically you can create A/B testing, and based on your end user preference or likes, you can finalize this one variant for here. Decisioning is like again a model where you can have some kind of interactive model available. For example, if I'm creating a model here, it gives you a variant that you want. You can create using some kind of UI interface where you can basically put some kind of customer information, some kind of decisioning information available. You can link that customer data into decisioning. You can perform some kind of rule information for your customer, and then you can basically do some kind of decisioning that what you want to perform for your customer. We'll not talk about much about this section in this presentation. Uh, yeah, now next thing I'm going to cover is basically a dashboard, basically provide you overall summary of our about your CDP data where you can interact or you can see some kind of dashboard for your complete information. Currently, we don't have much information available here, but still you can see some kind of guest data, some kind of new visitor or other information here. It's give you a summary report of your CDP customer data. There are multiple dashboard available. It could be a summary report. It could be a segment report. There could be a traffic report or some kind of focus page you want to see. Those kind of information can be available into the dashboard. You want to do some kind of connection with third party. For example, here you can see some kind of weather information you want to sync into the CDP that is available. Uh, I think with that, I'm done. I can share one quick interactive API here in Postman. So basically, it's the API post that basically uh, required authentication. I'm basically using username and password for my application that comes from the API key. It's basically API key and API token that we use for username and password. And then in the body section, we can pass our customer type It could be customer or visitor, anything. I'm using here name, giving name to Sumit. Last name I'm changing it to the Bhatia. I'm removing this DOB information, changing email to as bhatia@test.com, keeping all information as it is. Now we have this body information available. We are targeting it as a JSON data. We already have authentication data available, so it will basically do a basic authentication for this API. All the header information we are using as it is. The only thing is that body type is JSON, so we already have this available here. And this is a post method. So if you'll click, I will just run this. Now this API path can be changed based on your reason. So currently I'm in the box server. I'm using that API boxserver.com v2 and the guests API. If you'll click on this send, it's returning a uh, raw result sharing that this is our guest information. So it basically created a ref for our guest. And if I'll go to our CDP again, refresh this page, you can see this sbhatia@test.com comes into the customer. Currently, we only have a small list of 2 people, so I can see it here. If I have dozens of item, I can basically select with the identifier. Here we have um, email as identifier, so I can basically search for Sumit Bhatia@test.com, or from this interactive API, I can check this ref. This ref is basically a ID, a unique ID for this customer. If I click on this customer, you can see overview of this customer. In the property section, you can see the guest type is customer, title is Mr. Preferred name, full name is basically, we didn't pass the last name, first name, last name. Okay, that was the problem. You can see email and other information for the particular customer here. I think with that, I'm done with my presentation. If you have any question, please feel free to ask.
If anyone has any question, like they can raise their hand or mention on the chat window. Okay, I don't think we have any question, Mahendra. So thank you, Mahendra, for this wonderful performance presentation, and I think we should move on to our next presenter.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, man. So now let me introduce to our next presenter, that is Rinku Jain, and Rinku's having great experience in Sitecore, and today she's presenting on Sitecore PowerShell backup utility and some important points in SPE. So I'm going to hand over the session to Rinku, and Rinku, you can share your screen and start.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Sumit. So, hi everybody. I'm Rinku Jain, and let me share my screen. Just yeah. Is it visible?
Yes, we can see that.
Okay, that's great. So yeah, I'm having like a more than 13-year experience, and in Sitecore, I'm working from last 4 years. So it's great to work with Sitecore. no free hand to the developer to do whatever they want to do. So we'll today dig into some items related to that only. So let's start. Yeah. So today our agenda is first we'll go through that Sitecore PowerShell backup utility that I have created some time ago, and then we'll go over some important points in SP that will cover in invoke script import module here string with parent switch and how we can mingle C sharp and PowerShell code in like one another like that. Okay, so let's get started. So what this utility does, actually what happens is I know have requirement where I need to switch my laptop or I have some no shortage of memory, and due to that I'm not able to have some important script that I have in my previous projects. So that arises scenario where I need some utility where whenever I want or I'm switching projects or no I'm removing some projects, so I should have some utility where I can choose whatever script I want to have a backup, and then I can keep them handy with me. So this utility does that particular task. So we already have it on the GitHub, so you can go over there and download the code and do whatever you want with that. It's an open source, and we also have a YouTube link for that. So it's the video related to this is already up in the air of Sitecode Discover channel. So you can go through that and just utilize whatever information you need on that. So let's have an you know feel of that. So is my PowerShell screen is visible, right? Sorry,
Yeah, we can
the
see the
site core
Sitecore
one.
panel.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when in the GitHub there is one package. So if you download that and like through installation, like here we'll go over here and then we'll through the installation we wizard will install that package. So it will create this script backup button on the ribbon of the developer tab. So what it will do. So once I click on that, it will give you the pop-up to select the scripts, whichever you want to take backup of. So it will take a target then script library of our system. Now here you see here we have two options. Do you want to include subfolders or not? So if you don't include subfolders, so whatever script you want to choose, you have to do it by your own. And if you choose no include subfolder, so you have to be mindful. Let's say if you just clicked on script library also and the child also. So in that case, it will have a duplicate scripts in your next screen. So here, let's say we choose this and this folders. Currently, we have not included any subfolders. So yeah, that is fine. Now we'll see what comes next. So here we don't have any script in those particular folders. So again, we do that exercise. Yeah. Now let's say if we click this script library itself and we are saying that include subfolders. So what it will does. Now, now here we have all the scripts in our script library. So here we can choose whatever scripts we want. So let's say we are choosing some scripts, and here if you see we have script name and the relative path at the right of that particular script name, so that it will give you an easy way to identify a particular script. And then in the next step we have an option how you want to take an output of those particular scripts. So by default we have all these scripts in a single file. So it will have one text file which contains all the script which we have selected in the script tab. And here we need to provide the path where we are going to have our folder for script backup. So by default, it will have the path of your current Sitecore project. And here we can provide this folder name. So correct, by default, it will have SP script backup. You can change that too. So once we click on backup, yeah. So it must have already no, created those. So let us see that. Yep. So this is our virtual folder for that, and it has created on this date, right? So it we have chosen single script, so it created that. Now if we click that, so here you see we have chosen 4 script there, so it will give us all script details in one text file. So based on that, you can simply have all those backup, it's selected script backup, and then you can take it anywhere you want. Now here, let's say we again choose include subfolders. Now here, this time we have choose output a file for each individual script. So how many scripts we have chosen? So it will create a specific PS1 file for that. So let's do that. Now we have currently chosen 2 scripts. Now again we'll see a folder. Yeah. Yeah. So it has created 2 PS1 file over here, and each one is having the details. So yeah. So this is a single script file. So like this, we can do that, and yeah. Now the last option is the console one. So here, let's say I've chosen 3. Now we don't want, let's say we don't want to save it anyway. We just want to see the script details. That's it. So we can choose the option of output in console only. So it will give us the details on the console. Yep. So here you can see those details. Yep. So yeah, this is regarding this script utility. So you can use that anywhere you want. So just download that package, and we are good to go ahead. Okay, now come to the next topic, and that is related to some important point in SPE. So we'll start with invoke scripts. So it's having alias, that is execute script. So both having the same purpose. What it does is it executes the script, PowerShell script. So let's say, we want to execute one script inside in another script. So we can use that. Although, I had one scenario where my script was too huge because I was doing all content migration of different sites. So we the need arises to segregate the scripts. So what I did is I created all the functional no, thing at one script and then use that in the other script. So it gives an readable script for us, which give us more maintainable thing. So through that, we can utilize the SPE commandlet. And apart from this invoke script, we also have some data source thing where we can just say dot and the script name. So based on that, also it incorporates that script in your current script. And like this is an example, like invoke script, and then your script details the path of that. And here we are seeing verbose. So whatever is there in that script, so it will give the details on the command window. Now, the next one is import module. So, what is actually module is? So, modules are nothing but is intended to allow your shared code. So, it's a public entity. So, let's say we are maybe working on a huge team where we want some is centralized functions, library kind of thing, where each team can use that, or different projects can use that. So it's not bound to a single project. So modules is like a library, so anybody can use it. So for that we can create the modules, and it's having a .psm1 extension. So uh, you know these can reside on your module folder. So by default, we have this program files, Windows PowerShell modules. So you can create your modules over there, or you can create your modules in your own separate directory. So if you do that, so either you can import that module using the path, or otherwise you have to update the path module in the environment variable to include your folder as well. So what it will does is, like, then it will automatically uh, you know uh, include that module in the memory. And if it is not there in the module folders of the environment variable, so you have to explicitly load that module. So we'll see how we can do that. And here, like, one restriction is there, like, if we want to create a module, so the folder name of that module and the file of that module should have the same name. So we'll see that. Let me share my. Yeah. So here, if you see, I have created one custom module. So here is the module name is test new. And if we go, so I have created one PSM file which is having the list of functions and members. So here we have the centralized position where it have all your function members or providers or anything else. And then we are exporting these members. So here is the variable, and here is the function which I am exporting. So here I have two functions, but I am exporting one and not the other one. So when we are importing that module, so we only have one function where which we can use it. And let's say if we don't give this phrase at all, so what it will do is it by default exported the function, but it don't export the variable. So that variable won't be available on your SP. So let's see that too. Yeah, see, just a minute. So see here, it's saving is loading the module and importing the function and the variable like this, and then we can use it like this. So it's saying hello from user group Jaipur. Whatever there in our functions, we can use that. Now we can remove that module from the memory using remove module. And if you want to see the variable value, so you can see here. So we have given these details over there. Yep. Now, any question as of now? Okay, then we are good. And I had also written one blog related to same, which talks about import module and invoke scripts. So I have given link of that too over here. Okay. The next part is here string. So this exists in the PowerShell from long time, but somewhere we knew the latest thing, but we don't know the basic thing. So I thought to include this as well because it's really a very good thing to know about. So what is here string? So is here string is nothing but a way where we can have multiple lines of strings in one place, and for that we need to include that within this at the rate and quotes. So this is the enclosure for that. Sorry. So yeah, this is the enclosure. So the text should be there in between of these two symbols. But here these two don't have the same meaning. So if the things are there in the double quote or in the single quote, so it will have different purpose. For text it will same, but for the variable expansion of the expression, so it will behave differently. So here if you say it can include text or expression as well, it also maintains the integrity of text. So that means like whatever, like let's say if you have a new line character or something else, so it will maintain that integrity. It won't change when you execute it. Uh, Now here we'll see that example. And one more point here is like we can utilize its output as an input to other CMD. So, see, because we are having all like the text in a readable format in one place, now we can simply use other CMD like convert from CSV to generate the output in CSV format, convert from JSON to convert the output in JSON format, and like we can also output a script it that in a script file or something else as well. So let's see an example of that too. Yeah. So here see we have the example of single string and double quotes and single quotes. Here, these contain the same text, but when we execute it, see here in the single quote, uh, the variable value is not replaced with an result, but in double quote, it evaluated that particular expression. Now here, if you see, so here, like one is converting that into the CSV file, like this one, and the other one is the JSON. So it's converting the result into JSON, and see its beauty that we have the same name and city. So it appended that particular value in that column itself. So let's say if I run that individually. So here it's giving us name and city. That's it. So this is really a powerful tool, so that we should know knew it. So I thought to include that. Yeah. The next one is with parent switch. Although it's not that too big, but we should know that. And like it was not properly documented before, and that's why people don't knew much. And it was like recently updated in the documentation itself, because I had some query, and then we went to the Slack channel, and then finally it get updated over there. So what it does is, let's say when you get child items, sometimes we have a requirement where we need the parent item as well. Otherwise, what we have to do is we have to do get child item, and then for the parent item, we have to do get item. So if we don't want a two different statement for the same path, what we can do is we can have that with parent switch. So just add over here, so it will return child as well as its parent as well. Okay, now the next one is how we can interchangeably use C# and PowerShell. So the first one is call PowerShell script command from C#. So how we can utilize the PowerShell script in C# code. So for that, first step is we need to refer this sp.co.host.dll. And previously it was named as cognify.powershell.core, because now in I guess from Sitecore 6 SP6 it's changed to SPE. Before it was no, recognized as Cognify DLLs. So if you are using the updated latest version of SP, so this is the DLL, and if you are using old one, so this is the DLL to use the PowerShell script from C#. So first we need to include that. Second step is we have to create the script session. The third one is we have to like if we are having a script item, so we have to fetch that and its script. So we have to fetch that, and if you're not having a script, but you just simply want to execute some PowerShell commands, so you can do that too. So in that case, you can ignore this script and you can directly give the command. The fourth part is you can direct execute that particular script. So after that, you can utilize the result of that. Okay, so we'll see the example of it. So here, yeah. So the first part is we have to include that DLL. The second one is we have to create the new session of the script. So here now we have script session manager dot new session to create the script session object. Then the third part is we have to first retrieve that script item and then it's script associated to that. Once we have that, we can call script execute part. So once we do that, we'll have the output. Now the output can be in two way. One is like that output is in as a text format in script output form, or you can have the list of object. So based on our requirement, we can do that. So it varies based on the parameter that we supply, whether it is false or true. So here, if you see examples, if we have given false, so what it does is it don't return the result in that object. Now here we can simply have a for loop where we say for each item, we are showing the details of that particular list of items. And here, when we are saying true, in that case, like here, if you see, we don't need to provide any variable over here. We have the result in the sessions objects dot output property. So here we can for each row we'll have one value, and we can iterate it through that, and we can simply show that. So that was one example of calling the script item from the CMS. And if we don't want that, so this is an example how we can directly use the commandlet. So here we are using get process commandlet, and then we are having the where object over there. So we have this query, and then we are saying it as an false. So we are having the result in the script result object, and now we can simply iterate all the processes one by one and show that on the UI. So like this, we can utilize the script in our C# code. Okay. Now the second part is how we can call our C# code from PowerShell. So there are different ways to do that. Simplest one is like you can simply call your class and their method name. So like if it is a static class, you can simply call like this, where is the class, your namespace dot class, and then the method name. Or if it is required an instantiation, so we have to create a object of that, and then we can simply call that method. So now the second way is using the here string and add type. So how we can do that? So like how we can also write C# code in here string variable, and for once we are having C# code in here string, then we can use add type to add that particular type in the PowerShell. And and like if we don't want to use here string, so we can also import a CS file which contains the namespace and class and all the functions and other things available, and then we can add the type of that too. And finally, the newly added type in PowerShell, just like we can use normal C#, like we have seen that we can use the C# method like this, so we can simply use this newly added type as an new type, and in the code we can directly utilize that. But here one thing is be cautious, as you can't alter the type until you recycle the apple. So let's say if you add something in the type, and you want to update any function or variable details over there, so you can't do that. Either you have to recycle your app pool or restart your IS, because it is there in your app domain. So we'll see one example of it too. So here you see, here we are having this is here string. So here what we are doing is we have written one simple class and some function in that. So we can execute that. There is no error. Now we can add this type. We have added this. Now we can simply use that. So here I'm creating the object and then calling this. So see here is saying hello ID, and we can see that here I am passing hello ID value this, and what it does is it convert that into lower string and remove that curly braces. So it's doing that thing. Now here one is our simple instant function. Second one is a static function. So in that case, we don't need to create an object of that. Like we have talked about. So we can simply have this is a new type created, that is user group.jaipur, and here this is a method name. So directly we can call this static variable. See here, this is an static method. So like this, we can add type and then use that in the PowerShell. Okay. Yeah, so this is just an example of whatever we have seen just right now. Now the third way is commandlets. So we can create the commandlets in C sharp. Like we all knew that we can simply create the commandlets in function as well. But here we are creating commandlets in C sharp code, and then we can use that commandlet in PowerShell. So how we can do that? Again, we are having some steps to do that. One is we have to have a reference to system.management.automation.dll. The second one is we have to inherit the class from the cmdlet class. Okay, now the third part is we have to provide the proper name to the cmdlet, because that name is actually reflect on your PowerShell script in the module itself. Now the fourth one is we need to override the process record method, because that is actual code that is performed when you will call this cmdlet. And the last one is you have to finally import this module in the PowerShell and you are ready to go. So here, like we are having one example like this. So uh, similarly, like we have used this import module uh, where we have created that particular cmdlet, and then we are simply calling it like this. So we'll see that too. So here you see I have created three cmdlets over here. One is inside cmd test namespace, one don't have that namespace like this. And what happens is it's when we import that, so it don't depend on the namespace. It will show you all the modules one by one, and the name of that cmlet, it will be this commandlets like this. So it won't be like the class name, it is the command name that will give away. And like this cmdlets is like it's returning the object like this, and then we can simply query that. So we'll see an example of that. Yep. So here I'm importing that. So see here, it's importing three modules, cmlets, hello world 22, and like we have seen these three cmdlets. So it's importing these three, and through verbose, we are able to see the details. Now, when I call this, so it's executing that cmdlets, and here we have seen that get hello details. So this was the cmdlet that actually contains the list of objects, and we can do it on other cmdlets, so we can have a pipe separated things, and then we can query property based on this. So let's say if we are doing it over here. Yeah. So it's returning a Scooby dog. And if we see that particular CM delete, so here we are returning like it's having three list objects, and based on our query, it returned this particular object like this. So through that, based on our need, whatever that we are having different ways, so we can utilize that in our code. Yeah, so I have added some references to go through related to these details. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, so I don't think we have any question right now. So
Okay.
if you have guys any questions, so you can reach out to Rinku for the same. Uh, so thank you, Rinku, for this wonderful presentation. And now I'm going to start the last presentation of this event. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you are able to see the screen. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so Rishi, can you like kick this off?
Yeah. So, good morning, everyone. So, today we are going to present on Sitecore front-end development best practices. So, today me and Sumit going to present on this one. So, this is like a very basic common topic, like how we can make our page speed better by giving or by providing best practices to our front end and back end. So, that's it. So, Sumit, can you go to next slide? Yeah, so let me give me a little bit introduction about myself. So I am Sitecore 8, 9, and 10 certified developer. I have more than 8 years of experience in Sitecore, and my like I always love to do uh, customization and give training to fresher team members and new Sitecore folks. And like 3 years ago, I published a Sitecore module as well, and currently I'm working as a lead developer. So if you have any thing that you want to discuss or anything you want to ask, so you can reach out to my blog website, that is sitecoreblogger.wordpress.com. You can see my GitHub account, my LinkedIn profile you can see here, and I'm uh, very much active on Stake Exchange as well and on Twitter. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thanks, Rishi, and let me introduce myself. So this is Sumit Bhatia. I'm Sitecore 8.29 and 10 certified developer, and I'm having almost more than 13 years of experience in the technology. And I have worked with .NET projects, and from last 5 years, I'm working with Sitecore and some other CMS like Optimizely as well. Here are my community profiles, so you can read my blogs here. You can find my repo on GitHub account using the link. Here's my LinkedIn and Twitter profiles, and you can also find me on Stack Exchange. Here's my YouTube channel where I have posted some useful videos. I'm also available on Slack in case of any question. So this is our agenda for today. So let me start with the overview. In this topic, we will cover front-end best practices with Sitecore that make our website faster. These practices will help to render CSS, JS images into optimized format with whatever needed on the to the page. So we'll see that what are the drawbacks when we does not follow the best practices to make our site faster. Then why the best practice needed, and we will see the benefits of front-end best practices, and we'll show you the code example of how we can follow the best practices, and it will show that how to render data in optimized format, and finally we'll have the Q and question and answer section. So the drawbacks here we will see like generally developing with Sitecore developers does not follow the best practices to render CSS, JS and images on the front end side. That impacts the page performance and the site loads time get increases. So when we see low scores on web pages into the Lighthouse tool that is provided by Google, and that have issues related to unused CSS, JS and images serving on the page because we generally serve one compiled CSS and one compiled JS file on a page that is associated to a layout file. Also, we will see about the largest contentful pane, or you can see the LCP, That is one of the core web vital metrics which measures when the largest content element in the viewport becomes visible. Then time to interactive is a metric that allows you to evaluate interactivity. It is deeply linked to the user experience and must be taken into account when monitoring your web performance. And finally, the image, those are not compressed in format while serving on the site. Over to you, Rishi.
Yeah, so in previous slides, Sumit already told you some of the drawbacks that we are generally facing in our website that we implement with Sitecore. It's a with Sitecore as well as a general case study. So now I will, in this screenshot, you will see a case study that I did of a live domain from our one of our project. So what it shows, like when we started working on that part, so you can see the score that I checked in Lighthouse tool, that is a Chrome. In Chrome, you can see it. So performance for our mobile device was only 28 and for desktop it was 42. So you can see in this screenshot. So if our score is between 0 to 49, then it will be in red zone. If it's 50 to 89, then it will be yellow. And 90 to 100 is best score. And in the bottom, you can see in metrics, first contentful paint is 3.0, time to interactive is 15.1 seconds, speed index is 7.2 seconds, and total blocking time is 630 milliseconds. So here you can see like all the drawbacks that Sumit shows that causes these problems, and our page speed makes slow. So there is one more screenshot in next slide. So here you can see whatever Sumit explained here, we are seeing that serve images is not served in next generation format. That's why it is taking 16.65 seconds to load on the page. Second is efficiently encode images, that is taking 6.9 seconds. And now the second important thing, that is reduce unused JavaScript. Because right now what we are doing, like we are just creating a single JS file, and we are compiling all the JS module in a single JS. Whatever tool like Gulp or whatever we are using for that one. And for that one, what is happening, we are serving unused JavaScript on the page. Because like suppose on a home page we are adding only 6 to 7 component, but what it is doing, it is serving all the JavaScript. If our JavaScript file size is 1 MB or 2 MB, but the necessary JS that needs for your header footer or your hero component or any callout that is added on page, it need only little bit jQuery, but we are using another as well. So that is causing for slow speed. And another is eliminate render blocking resources. So that is also a very important thing. Like we are adding some third party resources that is causing render blocking sources. So we need to check those as well. So because that is also if we follow that thing, that will also help. And other is reduce unused CSS. Same thing that I described for JS file, same is for CSS as well. Because same component have only less CSS that needed on page, but we are serving a complete 2 MB or 3 MB CSS file, that is causing problem. So these are the some important drawbacks that we face on the page. Next slide.
Okay. So this is like let me introduce you the tool for image optimizer that is Denoga. So we'll see little information about that one here. So first of all, what is Denoga? So Denoga is an automatic image optimizer for Sitecore Media Library that reduces the size of your images served from Sitecore by 88 to 70% completely automatically. So what it does is when media images are requested, Dianoga automatically runs MOS JPG, PNG optimizer, SVGO or WebP on the image data immediately after it is placed in the Sitecore media cache. So Dynago ensures that your site is always serving fully optimized media library images when even if you are using Sitecore's dynamic resizing features. Even if you have already optimized every image uploaded into the media library, after Sitecore performs image processing, the result is not optimized. So Dynaga is also a great for situations where content editors may not be an image editing experts and upload images that contain some EXIF data and some non-essential metadata. So these are removed automatically before being showed to visitors. Now, what format Dynaga supports? So here you can see that what kind of formats is supported by Dynaga. So it supports JPG, PNG, SVGs, WebP, AVIF, JPG XL, auto-convert JPG GF to web page, auto-convert JPG PNG to AVIF, and auto-convert JPG PNG to JPG XL on the browser supports. And also the additional format support is possible to add via new processors in the Dynaga optimized pipeline. Uh, the next is performance. So by default, Dynaga runs asynchronously after the image is served into the media cache. This means it has practically no effect on the site's front-end performance. The performance of Dynaga is logged into Sitecore log. Once that image is in cache for the requested size, there is no performance penalty as the file is read from the media cache unless it is changed again. One point is to be noticed here that because the cache is updated after the first image requests, the first hit to image will result in the unoptimized version being served to preserve the responsiveness of the request. Then the subsequent request will receive the optimized version from the cache. Now, what options it provides? So here are few options that can help you to change the behavior of this tool. The first one is a optimization strategy. So in Dynaga, you can choose your optimization strategy. Like most people use the default option, which optimize the media as it is placed into the media cache. This result in minimum impact of the experience for the front end visitors. But for folks those want to use the CDN, those sources must be sent the optimized version of the media immediately. For this situation, you need to enable and disable few configs that comes with Dynaga, and these will cause optimization to occur synchronously as the media is first requested. So if you want to execute the Dynago optimization pipeline programmatically, for example, as part of a CDN upload background process, you can use the media optimizer class to execute optimization of on any Sitecore media stream object. The second one is the ignoring path. So uh, Dynaga allows for ignoring specific paths in the media library also. So this is also a feature for the Dynaga that it provides. Now the installation. Add the Dynaga NuGet package to your solution. If you are using package reference instead of packages.config, then also copy the config file and Dynaga to your solution. Once Dynaga is installed, clear your clear your app data media cache folder and you are done. So to perform a manual installation, what you need to do is you need to copy the Dynaga tools folder to the app data folder to of your website. Copy default config files or the configs you can say to app config include Dynaga folder, and then finally you need to reference the dynaga.dll or the source projects into your web project. Finally, the extending the Dynaga tool. So you can optimize any type of image that the media library support with Dynaga. Adding a new processor to the config will enable you to call a micro pipeline you define to process that type. So in your optimizer micro pipeline, you can add or remove optimizers that are applied in order to the specific file type. So that is all about the Dynaga, and that is being used for the like the image optimization. Over to you, Rishi.
Yeah. So now the next thing is why best practices needed. So so for this one, so there are few points that we mention here for to following the best practices. Like one thing is there is a best way for good front-end development with a Sitecore solution is for the front-end developer and Sitecore developer to communicate on the requirements, because whenever we are starting on project from scratch, so a front-end developer and a back-end developer should always be in sync. So that's why the solution that we build at the end of deployment, that will be in optimized format. There should not be unused JavaScript or unused CSS or unused CDN references added to the project. And why it is needed, some of the points that I want to describe here. So like first thing is initial impression, because there is generally said that like first impression is last impression. So because it's a increasingly online based world, and a business web page serve its first impression and initial point of contact with consumer or customers. So front end development service must consider this while developing a solid front end approach. So the website aesthetics alone are insufficient, and it should target a particular kind of client that business desire and immediately provide them with what they want and what is their actual requirement. In this current time, majority of companies do not prioritize front end performance. The website represent the company profile in the same way they first encounter. So suppose I can show you one example. If we are working on any healthcare domain and we have an appointment page, and if our page speed is slow, so in that case user or any patient want to take appointments early, so page should load early for them. If it doesn't load any fast way, then the user will go to another website. So it mean we have retention time will be low. So that's why initial impression or page speed should be good. Second thing is drive performance. So drive performance means like slow online site and apps annoy visitors and drive them to seek alternatives. It means they will go to any alternative web on the same website with the same behavior. However, site with a quicker loading time increase visitor engagement, retention, and ultimately sales also increase with this. And website response result increase conversion rates. Thus, one of the commercial advantage of front-end development service is mainly to improve performance. So the next thing is aligning with commercial intent. So what does it mean? The website must accurately represent the business true mission. The design and graphics should not cause customer to get disoriented. Rather than that, the welcome user experience should explain why the market exists, what is the actual requirement to build this website. We have to create all these things by measuring all these scenario. It's about developing pages that show appropriate information, that addresses the visitor anticipatory queries, regular updates to the information on your website while you are showing from cookie or any bookmark, that will inspire people to bookmark it and return on the website. The overarching goal of enterprises business is front-end design is to increase levels of attention in an ever-growing and complicated market, because market is complicated this time. So the next thing is improve navigation. Visitor or to your website will find what they searching for it if navigation is straightforward. Navigation should be organizer, clean, well planned site layout as well as eye-catching visuals. Additionally, it enables companies to capitalize the economic advantage associated with its front-end development. This natural mix enables tourists to get around quickly. Additionally, it will assist in establishing consumer trust as well. Because suppose like uh, I am on home page and I want to visit the other child pages like about, contact us. So navigation should be straightforward. Like it doesn't matter like where are you. You are in desktop mode, in tablet mode, or in mobile device. So navigation should be straightforward so that the visitor or consumer navigate to the all pages or what the information they need, they can navigate it to easily. So the next thing is retention of visitors. So excellence interface design insists trust and confidence in your brand while assisting you in meeting with your communication goal, ultimately increasing traffic and conversion rate so that user visit our website again and again. The next and important thing is confidence and trust. So that is very important. Customers are unlikely to return to website with bad visual, runtime errors, HTML difficulty, and some other concern. So that our front end website or load time, all these scenarios should match so that visitors return to our website and they build a good confidence on us. Next slide, please. Okay, so now how we can follow these best practices? So for this one, we can like render our images in next generation format. So what does it mean? So like whatever images you are adding to your website, it should be rendered in next generation so that because they will be lightweight in good quality because some of the images that we are adding in JPEG or PNG, they are having more sizes higher. So that's why they create issues. So good will be to render images in next generation format. But only a drawback with it, like this next generation formats doesn't support all the browser. If our client says that our consumers are only for the new versions of the Firefox, Chrome, or any or they doesn't support IE, suppose because the next generation I don't think support the IE browser. If clients consumer are not for this particular IE, then we can follow this and it will really help to improve performance of the page. Second thing is render image in compressed size. So in one of the previous slides, Sumit already told that we can use this tool that will help us to compress image in render image in compressed size from server side because it will cache images first time, then second time like what will happen like you will see you like images will serve from the cache, not request will not go again to the server. Next thing is render assets. Assets means CSS and JS as needed on the page. So like suppose what is happening right now, we already tell like all the CSS and JS file are in single chunk and that is creating a problem on the page. That is I showed in one of the my slide in the opportunities section that we have a complete CSS file and that have lots of unused CSS code and JS code that is creating problem. So that's why we have to render as needed CSS on page. And for that one, what we can do that describe the point 4 render assets on component level. So like what in that case, what we have to do, we have to render our assets, CSS and JS file on the component level itself, not like a on layout level. So what it will do, like suppose you have five components, header, footer, hero callout. So for header component, you have to render your CSS and JS for header itself on the header rendering. For footer, footer.css and footer.js will render on the footer rendering. Something like implementation we can do that will solve over some of the problems. Sumit, next slide, please. So if we follow these practices, what will be the benefits for using those? So if we follow those practices that we discussed in last slide, it will render our CSS in optimized format because we will not render any extra data on the page, and same thing for JS as well, and images will also be in optimized format and CSS and JS will render on component level. So that will be some of the benefits that help to improve page performance. So now let me show you how we will implement. I will show you only the code level. Sumit, I'm sharing my screen. So see this. So this is one of my component, and here what I am doing, I am just this is one of my component, and on the component itself, I am just rendering my styles and scripts. I have two style. One is for the theming purpose, and other one is for this the grid CSS, and third one is script for this one. So everything is rendered on the component itself. So now the other thing we are like generally what we'll see like our styles render in on head and our scripts render at the just before the end tag of our body tag. So for that one, we created a function that will help us. So see this. You can see here, I am just using this asset by order ID and I am just passing placeholder and order. So what this placeholder define? It is works same as placeholder in Sitecore. So like in Sitecore, you created a placeholder header on layout, then body, then footer. So if you add something on footer, then it will automatically add at the bottom. Same type of thing we implemented here for component level. We are defining a placeholder. See this style lib and for script lib. So if you call this placeholder, so it will render your all the styles file that is on components after the page load. It will render on the head wherever you will put it will behave there. It will behave same. So we want to render all the CSS file here, so it will render here. And all the JS file we will create same is and placeholder will be like script lib. That's it. So that kind of implementation we did on project and it was working as expected. So that's it, a little demo for this. Yeah, Sumit, you can take your screen again.
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah, Sumit, you can go to next slide.
Okay, I think that is it that we want to show you about the best practices. Do you have anything, Rishi, to share?
No, I'm good.
So please let us know if you guys have any question about this topic.
Yeah, I guess we got one question. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
what do you think if we use minimize JS or CSS file?
Yeah, so like if you use the minified JS and CSS file, it will help you. But in that also it will render the unused CSS and JS because Sumit, like you are using only 5 components on page. And if your CSS and JS in optimized format, in that case also it will serve some of the unused JS and CS because some of the JS you write specific to your inner pages, like not pages, I will say on the inner page components that you are using only on your search page or like your events page. So that's why we are using this component level approach so that we only render according to your component in minified format. You can use like you can use your one of the modules node modules that will optimize this component level CSS and JS as well. I think that gives your answer.
yep. Okay. Anything else? Okay, so that is it from our side as well. And if you guys any question, like for all presentation that was done today. So you can reach out to like individual presenter on the community on their Slack, or you can directly uh, ask question to them as well in the if you're in the same organization. So uh, uh, there is one more question from Rajveer. If we use component-wise JS, then maybe not able to take benefit of bundling.
Yeah, we will not use bundling in that case because we are only render whatever page need. Because bundling will create same problem. It will render unused data.
Okay. I hope this answers your question, Rajveer. One more thing is also it will have number of files based on component.
Yeah, if you have number of files based on component, it will not create any issue. Like according to your components, according to your files, you can create anything. That's not a problem because we are only using this placeholder and you can render it anywhere. Because at the end, when it's load to the page, it will render all your CSS uh, in the head section and all the JS in your this body section. So I tried 15 files and till 15, I don't think more than 15 component we will use on a single page because I created a microsite and in that microsite I render 15 components and then I just utilize those and it's all working. Yeah, you are saying that let's say we are rendering five components, JS in component, then it will send five requests to the server. Yeah, but we will use cache buster. So next time data will be cached. So request will not go again and again. Whenever you are doing change anything, then it will request will go again.
There
Hope
is
this
one more.
answer.
Yeah, there is one more question from Avinash.
Can we have a command over the ordering of JS and CSS on component like the same JS file is used another component? No, in that case, you need to give reference for this JS file in other component. But good thing, like we created this function, and what this function will do, it will if multiple components have same JS file. So if for the it will check the order. If the first component is already render this JS, then it will skip for the next component. So this JS will render only a single time on the page, not for all the components that this C# function is managing already. It makes sense, and Vinash to you?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I think that covers all of the things. And again, thank you everyone for joining this session, and thanks a lot for all the presenter to like spare times on this user group to make it successful happening for today. So thank you so much everyone for joining this event, and I hope like next time you will get some other presents other presentation from our side as well. So we will like notify you for the next event as well. Thanks a lot for your time today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time. Bye
Thanks.
bye.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Have a nice
Thank
day.
you.
Bye.